Yes, Don Wilbright. There's been complaints from some that say that there's not enough schools, that a lot of the children are booked in classes of 30, 35 plus. And then there's been other complaints that there's a school on every corner. And there's been some suggestions in the past about taking and selling some of these properties where the individual schools are, and layering the schools where some other states have, 1, 2, and 3 floors. And in doing so, what some of the advocates say is that if you took 3 separate schools and you combined them on top of each other instead of making a single floor, you would have 1 superintendent, 1 principal, 1 set of this, 1 set of janitors. And the other complaints are that a lot of the buses that are driving around are only 1/3 filled. I just wanted to know what your position is, if you have one.
I hadn't thought about that, but I don't see a problem with 30, 35 in a class. That's the way it was when I went to school, and we learned to read and write. I think one of the problems that the schools do have is the teachers are tied back to where they're limited in the discipline that they can provide to maintain a positive learning environment. So the classes have to keep getting smaller and smaller so that the teachers can manage the students that they do have. As far as education in general, I don't see why we don't go to a voucher system. The private schools provide a better quality education for less money than the public schools. They're more efficient. Why don't we support them and send our students there?
If you are elected, exactly what kind of committees would you like to serve on? What's your main thrust? And I'd like to reduce taxes and all that. There's a judiciary committee, or what have you thought about that?
No, sir, I haven't really thought about that one. Haven't given that much thought.
You were talking, this is Maria Duncan, you were talking about education. Are you a supporter of the education reform proposal?
Hey, could you state your name, please, for the audience?
Oh, certainly, sir. Les McKay. And I'm not familiar with the education reform proposal, which...
One of the things is it's creating an alternative to class size reduction, like coming up with other ideas. You said that you thought it was okay for a class of 35. So then, are there other alternatives that you see that we could do specifically to handle this?
I think a voucher system, like I mentioned before, could help address class size. And the voucher could either be used at a private school, a different public school, or even to defer homeschool expenses for the parents that think that is the best choice for their family.
5 minutes.
Down right. The state's been in free fall as far as taxes, and as you may or may not know, that primarily our taxes come from sales tax. And if the state continues in the path that it's in, then we're going to have another downgrade as far as meeting the budget constraints. And my question is if you were elected and there was another downfall and they had to either cut taxes, raise taxes or cut services, would you cut the services, raise the taxes, a combination of both, or something else?
Les McKay again, Assembly 21. No, sir, I don't believe we need any more taxes. If we were to raise the sales tax, for example, that's just going to drive people out of state to make their purchases in a lower sales tax state. And as much as they could get by with it, or drive them to order online and have it shipped in tax-free. I believe there's plenty of taxes. In fact, too many. I still think we can cut taxes, even though, the economy isn't where it should be, but we've got to cut state services. either eliminate the unnecessary, combine like services, reduce the bureaucracy supervising those services. Any number of things that need to be done to just make it a more efficient system.
Two things, more of yes or no questions, aware of or not aware of. Are you aware that the Department of Taxation and the DMV are assessing vehicles over market value, damn near MSRP? Are you aware of that?
I've noticed that with myself. I think they overassessed my house as well.
I won't get into the personal things of that. Either way, the second part is, are you aware that 85% of economists agree that budgets, federal government budgets should be balanced over a business cycle, which is economic cycle, up and down, versus in a legislative session? Are you aware that 85% of economists approve of that?
No, sir, I haven't thought of that, but it does make a lot of sense, because what we've run into with the state and the federal government, when times are good, we expand services, throw out all kinds of money, and then when times are bad, it's how do we make up the shortfall?
Well, we got 2 minutes. Panel members, questions?
Yes, Don, we're ready. As you may or may not be aware, the Sage Commission made a recommendation a while back of approximately 42 different suggestions. As of this point, the legislature has implemented less than half of them. I'm not sure if you're aware of the Sage Commission recommendations, and my question would have been, if you are, what would you suggest, or if you have any suggestions yourself? Because it looks to me like you're not planning on cutting any taxes. If we continue to go down the path that we are, and we're not a diverse economy here, we're simply basing it on the sales tax, and they come back and say that they're going to have to cut 20, 30, 40 million dollars, where are you going to cut it? If you may.
Yeah, I'd have to look over the budget and see where, the state budget and see where, but there's got to be somewhere to cut it. It's got to become more efficient.
Fair enough. One last quick question. Do you know what the Nevada state budget is at this point?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and call it time for District 21. Thank you, Les, for coming on out. And we will be back at 3:20 with District 22.